Okay, these two sheets are used to just cut and paste the financial statement as we finish it. And what it shows is for the P&L, it shows the year side by side for nice presentation, and we can modify this if you have actuals in prior years. We can pull together our assumptions as we work. The summary is kind of a nifty output. It uses the Robert Morris model, now called the risk management analysis. And in here, you can see I have each of the years. We have the balance sheet, and then we have the analysis here coming down to 100. Then we have the same logic in the P&L, and then we have all these quick ratios and so on. And you can benchmark after doing some marketing research, comparing to industry standards, other company standards. In fact, you could have 3 or 4 different types of standards or your own internal benchmarks and see where we're headed. And of course, as you fill in actual, if you want to do that, which is kind of neat, then you can see how this is doing as we move. We could fix this in our forecast period and put our actuals in. This is our break-even analysis, and it will get us down to monthly break-even sales. This is an investment analysis, which in this forecast I don't have it set up, but you can. It does a internal rate of return, and it proofs it by doing a present value of cash flows. I'm going to zero in on just this particular sheet to show how it feeds. Each of your sheets can be modified, adding any number of categories and interrelating. The current assets are shown here with different subtotals, beginning balance, changes. You can insert effects on the P&L, other items. And then it's summarized at the top here, where it's ultimately pulled into the financial statement. So if you look at your current assets, you can see here that it's coming from this cell over here. The other assets works with the same logic. In this case, I just wanted you to see that we have construction in process going on, and it could be even more complex, tied into your engineering studies, and ultimately we book the assets and zero out the account, and this ends up over on the fixed asset schedule. Current liabilities are same logic, non-current liabilities. Now we're over into the fixed asset and depreciation schedule. We're now on the depreciation with fixed assets and depreciation schedule. Now I highlighted this area to see if I had any constants, and sure enough, this should be referencing the input sheet where you have seen this before, so I'm going to copy this down here. Now, what this is going to do, of course, is change the balance sheet automatically. And let me show you that. Right here, you can see that the balance sheet is out of balance by whatever the amount of change in depreciation was caused by this error. Now, what we do, of course, is we balance the balance sheet. Okay. Now you can see I brought the balance sheet into balance for that simple change. Now this makes it rather interesting because you can make changes in your assumptions and update your balance sheet very quickly, and then you can go over to your summary statement, which I'll show you. This is the sheet. It is updated for all the changes we've made. We can make all kinds of changes to the various assets by adding in formulas. We can bring the head count over as I'm doing here, multiplying by 1,500, and we're ending up with 4,500 in additional cost. I booked the construction in process to the building account over here, and there you go. That then updates the depreciation schedule, and there's the amount that's being financed based on our schedule. We're now on the long-term liability sheet here, and you'll see that we have this same fun chart. I highlighted everything here. If this thing goes into a negative balance on the maximum min balance of all these notes payable, it will print out, it will show an error message here which stands out quite clearly. This pulls together all the long-term calculation data, and here's where it's actually calculating the payment each month as we change the amount financed, and then there's a section to run off what you already have as long-term liabilities. And at the end of this, we can just keep adding and adding and adding notes. And on the, if you want to make the notes grants with zero interest, that's easy to do too. It's it looks messy, but it is all this is just automatically calculated based on the amount of months financed. So it trees off. The only asset I'm depreciating less than 60 months, which for a 5-year plan means we wouldn't see a waterfall, is the computer software. And here you can see it waterfalling off after 36 months as we have added assets and financed at whatever percentage rate. So it's a pretty cool and accurate statement. We also can fuzz off the long-term debt as well. In the depreciation, we can fuzz off the depreciation also. And that shows, you can see it's a fairly big spreadsheet. But it's the same logic with the waterfall effect and whatnot for the monthly additions. The summary sales sheet summarizes, and this is the heart of the system here in some ways, because we develop, here's our sensitivity thing here, and you can see it's picking up 1.15 and then multiplying it times the income and so on. We can just add pages and pages of various changes to head count, who knows what, amount of machinery, whatever. It can all be done in this, and those of you who've done forecasts are familiar. This is where I can work on G&A, and we can have up to 3 variables, and we can have a variable fixed factors, and we can even increment the fixed factor by a certain percent each year. A, B, and C refer to A, B, and these 3 variables that we pick. So it's a fun sheet. This pulls together that and other data. Summarizes, for instance, up at the top for how much accounts payable, how much of these expenses would be accounts payable each month. The payroll, we can do it any way you like, but this one sets it up with the, you type in the categories or names and the annual salaries. If they're hourly, you just make the annual salary work. And then this is developing, coming from the sales summary sheet, you can see right up in here. And that is equivalent heads, and it just multiplies it out. This can all be modified. Everything in here in pink is formulas, so there's really not a whole lot that we have to do. It's all summarized at the top. Also some annual looks, and some of this data is used over on the summary sheet. Same logic for bonuses and contractors, and we can use it for that if we want to. And we can add chart of accounts if you want it to tie in better with your ledgers and make it easier to update your budgets in your systems.